ability to be great. You have to be willing to activate the great from within. It starts with you, and it starts right now. Hello, Mr. Davis in the house.
Greg Thomas, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, Tyler. Just, doing our thing.
Yes, we
Back
are.
at it
Keep
like we
showing
do.
up.
That's it, man. It's been kind of a little crazy world in the mortgage biz.
It
And
has.
just, crazy stuff is happening right now that seemingly like the market seems to be like it's adjusting to it, pretty good. All
Yeah.
things considered. We have to be diligent, in a very unapologetic fashion, right?
Right.
With our business, the things that move, the things that are tied to it, what happens when things change, who does that impact, who does it benefit?
Yeah.
Who's prepared, who's not prepared.
Right. Report the news.
Report the news,
Yep.
and having the bandwidth to do that, right?
And keeping things in perspective, kind of like you said. I mean, the,
Yeah.
the big picture of things rather than being hyper-focused on, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, what can you tell me about this? Like, let's take a step back.
Well, make sure you just know what you're getting into at this point. Like, look, here's what it is. You need to feel good about what's really going on, what's the real dynamic, what's fake, what's,
Yeah.
that's
And
the thing.
It's all still good stuff.
No, because there was just some information when it comes to rates that are like, folk, we got spoiled for a while. You know what I mean? It was, things were crazy with COVID and rates were insane and they were, justifiably low, right? There was a lot going on, but now they're back up, but they're not up.
No, that's the thing. It's like when let's take a step back.
It's a perception thing, right?
Exactly.
Which is like another thing that, we want to have a little mind shift there. We want to have a paradigm shift when it comes to a lot of things. You know what I mean? One of those things, right, is actually something we've touched on before, accepting, apologies that you're never going to get.
Yeah.
Outside of just being a bullet point, kind of came up in a conversation today where, I realized there's an opportunity to expand on it.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. There's just a lot when you start breaking things down. I've been getting with, taking part in the core coaching, and it feels like, like it's core, like hardcore type deal.
Well,
There's a lot that goes into that. And I'm start thinking like, what do I have bandwidth for? Well, you got to organize. You have your time. Here's what I'm doing on this day. I have these meetings, the save contacts, the save touches, because it's all organized and it happens this X, Y, and Z. Or that's what we're striving for anyway.
Got to prioritize it. Like, what's your ROI on all these different things, these activities?
Correct, right? But, at the same time, it's like, what can you make room for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You only got room for so much.
Right. So, I kind of want to expand on the whole, accepting apologies that you're never going to get, and a capacity to open up your mental capacity is really what I'm talking about here. How do we make room for more? How do we declutter? How do we get rid of a lot of things, More
bandwidth.
And it is. And, so these are like 3 insights, about the whole concept of accepting apology that you're never going to receive. Now, there were definitely times in my life where I wasn't going to be hearing any of that.
No.
Not at all.
No.
And I get it.
As much as you wish for it, it's not coming.
Right. And everybody's timing is a little different, right? But, there are some things I did realize when I, kind of saw that for the first time that, days, months, weeks, go by, all these things, where I'm like, it just kind of evolves my understanding of that concept.
Yeah.
Right. So these are some things that stood out. Number 1, it allows you to declutter your mind.
That's a big part of it.
Right. If it's that meaningful to you, that where you're tethered to it, where you have an anchor, like you threw a grappling hook on it, and it's just with you now. And every time you see something that reminds you of that person or see that person, all of that just gets, stirred up and, it's like the ocean floor, right? You go in there and you're just circulating all this stuff, all this debris, all these things.
And before you know, you can't see clear at all.
Oh, dude, you can't think, you can't, prioritize, you can't, remember certain things or even have like the clarity or wherewithal to, not lose yourself in a prior experience.
Right, and miss the current experience altogether.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's all clouded.
Right.
Like you said, if you drag in an anchor behind you, eventually you're going to collect all this ish.
You just don't even know it. Like, at the lake, you throw that anchor down, the wind, you can kind of move you a little bit and you pull down, you see what's at the bottom of this thing. You're dipping it in there, trying to clean it, the anchor off. There's all these things, all this sediment, all these things that are there that you don't realize are there.
Right. How powerful would it be if you could just cut it from the top?
Oh,
you wouldn't even have to deal with all that.
Or like, just, realize, some things can stay where they're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Put it down.
You don't have to bring it with you.
Walk away from it.
It doesn't need to. This is kind of a familiar phrase, renting space in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all these things do. When you're carrying around things that have happened, no one's saying that they didn't happen.
Yep.
But like, when do we continue to nitrocharge things? When do we keep feeding it? because you're giving it life. You're
Yeah.
letting it perpetuate. You're letting it evolve. You're letting
yeah.
it fester. You're letting it collect dust in your mind.
Yeah, recently somebody gave me some great advice, and it was, our mind is to have thoughts, not to store thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, let them come and let them go. Don't keep them in.
Flow, right?
Yeah.
If you have too many things in the way, there's no way that
Glass is full.
Right, that's
you
it.
can't add nothing to
You
it.
can't get a breeze through there. It's all these things blocking it. So it really gives you an opportunity to declutter your mind, and I think that gets minimized or glazed over like the decluttering golf course. It's a thing. It's a process. It's a realization, right?
Yep.
Declutter your mind. Wow, you can make space like we talked about, right? So number 2, you're doing it for you.
That's the big shift you
This
gotta have.
isn't this pity party that you had for someone. This isn't, oh, hey, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger man here.
Right. No, that's not
Dude,
what it's about.
that's not what it's about, okay? That's a fugazi. That's just that's not even a real forgiveness. That's just you're putting it in a different spot in the attic.
It's creating a new
Yeah,
story,
that's
but it's
it.
still got the same tether.
Same tether, same grappling hook on it,
Right.
When you handle it that way versus
Real forgiveness.
that's it. Like, it's for example, like, you can't hate something you don't love. Why?
You love it, man. Tell me.
Because you wouldn't care.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay.
Right.
If you didn't have an affinity for it, you wouldn't care, and it would be. Okay. So before you start thinking you have a reason to have a disconnection with this person, there's obviously something there at the core root of it that makes you still care enough to have this grappling hook and stay tethered to him any way you can.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Okay. So when you're doing this, do it for you. Okay. Say, hey, I am going to have grace here. That too shall pass. No one's bigger than anybody.
Yeah.
Things happen, perspectives change, vantage points are different, whatever. We're going to give the benefit of the doubt because, I'm going to do this for me. It's not worth it.
Right.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Yep.
The next one, right? You sever the connection to all the toxins about whatever transpired or what your perception of that event was.
That's the big thing, the perception
Right.
of it. Yeah, that whole tether, like we were talking about in point 1, that anchor, all that stuff that is dragging behind you.
Oh,
Cut it.
it's impacting other things. I mean, it's one thing for something to slow you down, but like
It's impacting all your other relationships.
everything you touch, everything that you do, you're just doing a little bit less of it. You're a little less sharp. You're a little less focused.
Yeah, because like you said before, you only got so much bandwidth.
That's it.
And with all this stuff, especially over the years, I mean, goodness, we're 40 now.
Oh, I
Before
know, man,
You
but
got
like-
years worth of that stuff, unless you learn how to deal with it.
Well, it is, when you start thinking about, like, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, I don't have the energy for this, I don't have the energy for that. Think of this, okay? Maybe there's not enough room in your head.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
you need to free up some capacity because, decluttering hasn't happened in a long time or if ever.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, what happens to your phone or your computer when you run out of storage?
Do some house cleaning,
Exactly.
right?
That's the thing, a little file management.
That's it. You don't have to go build a bigger house if you take advantage of the space you already have.
Yeah.
You want to talk about all these things going back and forth, week in, week out. We're trying to move the needle. So how do we move the needle? You accept those apologies that you're never going to get. Because look, do it for you.
Right.
Get rid of the toxins,
Yeah.
right? Make space for other things that are motivational, that are what you want, that make you feel the way you aspire to feel. Not like this Ricky repeater.
No.
Reinvent your normal.
The age-old adage of forgiveness. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to pass.
Right, but you don't want to do like, hey, I'm going to forgive you so you can forgive me. No, you can't have any,
No.
there can't be
No.
any type of revolving door or any kind of boomerang
No
action.
expectation.
None. Like, you don't even have to say it out loud.
No.
You don't have to go track this person down and say, hey, I'm going to
Yeah.
I'm going to
I
accept
want
the
you to
apology.
know I
Yeah.
forgive you.
I accepted your apology that I know you're never going to give me. You don't have to be like some Facebook stalker and then
Yeah.
drop, that in on them at the, wherever you run in. You're at the grocery store. Hey,
Yep. Yeah, good looking out.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being you.
Way to make it awkward.
Oh, yeah, it's super weird now. And then it's a story over and over again. Just think about it, man. Just
Right.
think about all those, instances that you can instantly get back into.
Yep.
You play it back through your own experiences,
Yeah.
But you got to stop. You're like, oh, yeah.
Not gonna go there.
I'm not going to go in that store. I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Because it will suck you back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So, again, 3 insights about accepting apologies that you haven't received. Well, number 1, you're going to declutter your mind. If you want to make room for other things, other experiences, more knowledge maybe,
Yeah.
more love maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, more acceptance maybe about everything, including yourself. Let this stuff go.
Gotta set it down.
Yeah, put it down.
Walk away.
That's it. Yeah, that's right. Put it out to the curb. Let the trash man come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna. Hey, you're done with it. You're not tethered to it anymore. And again, remember, you're doing this for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. There's no martyr bonuses here.
No.
You're not the bigger person. Stop saying those things.
Yeah, self-preservation.
I'm just gonna
man.
be the bigger person. Are you really? Because do you need to wear that like a moniker? Do you need to fly the flag, or can we just tell by your actions? I don't know.
Yeah.
And lastly, sever that connection from the toxic stuff. This
Cut the
stuff,
cord.
all it does is just bring you. It doesn't allow you to go forward. It only pulls you backwards.
Yep.
And we're all trying to move the needle. We're all trying to go forwards. And go out there. I challenge you. Accept some apologies that you're never gonna get.
Yeah, man.
And move on. And that's
do
what
it.
this is about. We're moving on too. Catch you next time. Want to take a quick minute to thank our sponsor, ccmindiana.com, for all your mortgage needs. Very competitive, ready to rock, ready to help you be a pre-approved buyer that can compete. Ready to get pre-approved for your next mortgage? Stop by ccmindiana.com and see how we can help.